Everybody's ready? Everybody's ready?
Yes. Yes, madam.
All right. So guys, ladies and gentlemen, can we get your attention? We have a wonderful panel here. My name is Daphne Barak. I'm a leading television interviewer worldwide, CBS America, Paramount UK, 60 Minutes Australia, the Daily Mail, the Sun, and Sunday Times. I think I covered a lot. And they say I am the #1 in the world because I'm the one who brought Prince Andrew down 2 months ago. Thanks to me, he's not a prince anymore. Sorry. But I'm usually actually bringing people up. Kimberly will tell you. So I'm very honored to introduce our panel. Really, each one of them is so well accomplished. Next to me is I'm looking because I want to pronounce right. You know, Greek names are wonderful, but I mean, it's a bit difficult. So, it's actually somebody who's a friend of mine, a new friend of mine, Theoharis, did I do that? Deputy Foreign Minister of Greece. And he's a wonderful guy. You'll hear from him much more. Next to him is a very, very dear friend of mine and my husband Bill, is somewhere here, Kimberly Guilfoyle. She is the first woman ambassador, U.S. ambassador to Greece. And as a woman, I'm very proud about it. And she's making waves in Greece, and it's good. Next to her is Alexandros. Now, you told me how to pronounce your name. Alexandros Exarchou, right? Alexandros Exarchou. He's a chairman and CEO of AKTOR Group, very prominent businessman, and I'm sure we'll learn a lot from him. And last but not least is our new friend, Bogdan, the Minister of Energy at the government of Romania. And apparently there are many things happening between Romania and Greece that we're going to learn, right? But I want, before going to business, just introduce each one yourself in one sentence. What do you think the audience should know about you, Harry?
Well, I'm a member of parliament. I've been in various roles in the government, from Ministry of Tourism, I was minister during COVID, Deputy Minister of Finance. Oh, sorry, yes. So I'm a member of parliament. I've been in various roles in government, from Minister of Tourism during COVID and Deputy Minister of Finance. Now I'm Deputy Foreign Minister, responsible for economic diplomacy and the global outreach of Greece, trying to attract companies to Greece to invest, helping Greek companies invest abroad, and of course, trying to increase our trade, hopefully closing down a trade deficit.
Thank you. And I work with you.
Yes.
And it's a pleasure. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle, again, born in San Francisco and worked as a prosecutor in San Francisco, in Los Angeles, head of the trial division, career criminal division, homicide division, gang division. So a lot of experience trying cases and working to advocate for victims' rights and victims of violent crime. I've worked as a special education teacher. I was First Lady of San Francisco, had the opportunity to try one of the biggest cases in the United States, which established the precedents for second-degree implied malice murder with the dog mauling case out of San Francisco, which then prompted me to then go and work in television, had 6 offers to work in New York for the various networks. I worked for ABC News, Good Morning America, World News Tonight, my own show on Court TV, exclusive to CNN at night prime time, Larry King, Anderson Cooper, then moved over and had a great career at Fox News, launched the show Outnumbered, launched the show The Five, which is still going very strong, had the opportunity then to be the National Finance Director and Senior Advisor to the 45th and 47th President of the United States, and had the honor and privilege of being appointed by Donald Trump to be the U.S. ambassador, as Daphne pointed out. She's very proud of me, first female ambassador to the Hellenic Republic, which is quite an honor and probably the best job of my life. People say, where do you want to go from here? I say, I don't think it gets any better. But it's a pleasure to be here with all of you today, and thank you, Daphne, for having us.
Well, I'm Exarchou, President and Chief Executive Officer of AKTOR. AKTOR is one of, we believe, the biggest construction company in Greece. Some will say one of the two biggest, but whatever. We have extensive operations in construction, concession, and energy. Recently, very proud to say that we will participate to Atlantic by 6% together with DEPA to import in Europe LNG from US in an attempt to create, together with the ambassador here, the vertical corridor, the European vertical corridor of the US LNG.
Good morning. I'm Bogdan Ivan, Romanian Minister of Energy. Previously, I served as Minister of Digitization for 2 years, and I was elected 5 years ago, first time in the Romanian Parliament. And I don't know how much you know about Romania, but previously everybody knows about Dracula, but I want to shift it. I want to shift it to the most important side, to Romania, together with our friends, to be the most important player in the Black Sea region in the manner of energy. And we could make that only with very clear vision, action, and together with our friends from ES and in partnership with our friends from Greece in a very practical way. And in this moment, I'm working to make my colleagues from my country to understand how important is that for the entire security of the region. So I think I will have a very clear success having such a wonderful friends and allies in that perspective. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Keep the microphone, Bogdan, because I think the next question is for you. It's for you and Harris, right? And
Is there another one?
Okay.
So
We're going to share.
Yeah, that's nice. So I think the next question is for you and Harris, and of course if Alex wants to jump. Why do you think right now Greece and Romania are engaging in this conversation about strategic corridors rather than the usual peripheral economics? What does it tell us about what's going on right now in Europe? Where are we going with this?
I have at least two dimensions. First is the importance of the area. We could be powerful and to have a strong voice listening at the worldwide level and EU level in Brussels, only if we are standing together. We have the largest prices of energy in the entire European Union, so in that moment we're working together with a minister from Greece, from Bulgaria, to work on that topic. Second one, it's about the prices, and it's about practical and the geography. The only way and to get LNG in our region is through Greece, because we have the Turk Stream, which is another opportunity, but are more expensive than the vertical corridor, and we have the Adriatic Sea. So it's about it's about geography. And it's natural that from Romania, you have the gate to Ukraine, to Moldova, to Hungary, to Slovakia, and in this manner, we haven't the opportunity to bring energy, for example, in Romania, straight to the Black Sea, because we have the Monterey Convention together with and the Turkish block us to make that. So in that perspective is the only way to get that business affordable and to put it not only as ideological and as a political wish, but is to make it a very clear business. So that's the main reason beyond our friendship and our trust. It's practical.
Well, I think, of course, Bogdan is very right about what he said, but let me add the dimension of value, geopolitical and geostrategic value. Our two countries and the region is actually poised to play a very, very important role in a number of dimensions. There was this tariff deal between President Trump and Ursula von der Leyen. In there's an agreement to buy US LNG to cover European needs. So the first corridor really to realize this is the vertical corridor. The second dimension is the fact that there's been a lot of work behind the scenes for a number of years and perhaps more than a decade in order to implement the infrastructure that currently now plays this important role. So this connectivity did not happen overnight. So that is something also that we have to take into account. There was strategic thinking behind the previous year's cooperation between Romania, between Greece, between the other countries in the region, in order to be able to capitalize on this. And finally, if you like, the fact that Europe has suddenly realized that resilience requires diversification. So we've been for too long dependent on a specific source of molecules for our energy needs. Now the time has come to diversify and ensure that we have the so-called strategic autonomy, the ability to cover our needs for our expansion, economic expansion.
Yes, Mr. I just want to add to that. Yes, and I'm glad you brought this up because this was really something that was strategic that President Trump put in place to make sure that we had this agreement between the EU and U.S. for $750 billion worth of U.S. LNG. And under President Trump, we have now become a leading exporter of natural gas. And the reasoning behind this, it is about national security, it's about regional stability and making sure that the areas of the Eastern Mediterranean, Central and Southern Europe, the Balkans, are not dependent on Russian gas. It's a very poor national security planning if you're going to rely on people that could cut you off, which they have done over years. It's much better to be a strategic ally of the United States of America, of President Trump, that you can depend on in that area. We have seen in the past Russia push back against the Bulgarians, etc., where they did not have any supply. And that is a very difficult and dangerous position to be in for a country. And that's why this is so important. The vertical corridor is a means to an end to be able to produce and provide that stability, but to also be utilized in other capacities for military purposes as well, for supplying with the United States, and also for AI energy diversification. If you have a diversified energy portfolio, and we're looking at options with nuclear as well, you're going to be able to provide national security for your country and for your people. So that is a big part of why we are doing this.
Do you want to add something, Alex?
Yes. I have the privilege of being the only one here who is not a politician, so I can speak.
No, it makes both of us, yeah.
more clearly, in the sense that we should not forget that the European Union, by choice, elected in practice to be fully dependent on Russian gas for many years. The result of this is that when the war broke over and when it was difficult to use Russian gas, Russians had significant leverage against every European state and European Union on the back of the fact that they were depending on Russian gas. And it's very late, I would say only this year, European Union decided to make it illegal as of 2028 to buy Russian gas. But, and I say but,
Yeah.
and this is what makes me different from the other three members of the panel, which I feel very privileged in being able to say, when we impose in Europe sanctions, and when we say that as of 2028 it will be illegal for any European state to buy Russian gas, we need to be serious. And if we were serious, then you would have seen that all countries up to the vertical corridor and inclusive Western countries to the vertical corridor will be jumping up crazy to go and get long-term LNG agreements. Why? Because after 2028, if they really believe that it will be illegal to buy Russian gas, they don't have any other gas available. And I want really to stay here 2 minutes. Again, I'm saying apologies to the politicians and to your ambassador, but I can't speak my thoughts. I hear, ever since it was announced in PTEC, I hear a lot of rumors that a lot of the countries that they are thinking of actually signing these long-term agreements are using words like, it is more expensive. It is more expensive as compared to what? To Russian gas. But it will be illegal to buy Russian gas. And if it was illegal, and still is illegal, and the intention of the countries, up to Volker Calder and the European Union, is to impose the sanction, then there's nothing to discuss about price. The only thing they should discuss is where will I find natural gas after 2028? It is US. It's not unlimited, the quantities, so the best I serve my country is by securing as much quantities as I can at a stable price at this stage where I can negotiate the price. So I finish saying one thing. In Europe, when we speak and when we legislate, we must learn to be serious. Either it is forbidden or it's not. Thank you very much.
And you just, I like that. I think everybody likes you in the room, Alex. But I just want to say, so you basically, we agree right now that LNG, you see I found the microphone. Irene. So now everybody here in the panel agrees that LNG is right now the thing, the next thing, right? Is anybody?
Yes.
Yes. I'm going to say a few words about this. I think this is a very important point that Alex raised. But to answer your question, yes, LNG, I think the big shift, especially since President Trump took office, the big shift is that we do not anymore look at transition as the ultimate goal, the golden goal, but we add in the mix affordability, etc. And that means that some are coming to realize that the mix will include for many, many years traditional fuel sources of energy, and we need to ensure that those play the right role in the whole energy mix. So that the LNG is going to be a huge factor in the years going ahead. Now, I want to come to your point. I think Europe is serious. Of course, you can have some doubts about it. And in my trips to Washington and New York last December, I saw the doubt from the private sector of the U.S. as well. They were telling me everybody is buying spot market, there's no long-term contracts. They do not believe that this is going to last. Exactly your point. But
because they don't believe what the European Union is declaring.
Not just European Union. I think, of course, there are doubts whether we are 27 or 26 or 25, and some countries will be spoilers and this and that. This is all understandable. But also there are mixed signals from the other side of the Atlantic as well. So we need to understand, if we have peace, when we have peace between Russia and Ukraine, will that bring back Russia, and will the US position change and allow Russia to be back into the international fold and be able to buy and stuff? So all that currently, there is haze, there is fog, and I think understandably a lot of the private sector is hedging. And we need clarity as soon as possible. I think both the European side and the US side are working and will work to ensure that the right signals are being sent to the markets.
Thank you. So about your point with Ukraine and Russia, and I was very active and still am involved in this, and we're working very hard. I think made a tremendous amount of progress. We don't have a specific timeline when we think it's going to happen because it's very complicated. But when President Zelensky came, and I had a meeting with him and then worked with the Prime Minister, et cetera, to do the short-term and long-term LNG deals, to be able to supply through the vertical corridor to Odessa so that they would be able to actually have a winter where they weren't blacked out. Because this is a war of attrition, and Putin was trying to hit them very hard, and is, during this winter time. The big fear at the time was that Putin was going to destroy energy infrastructure assets, which he has been hitting very heavily. So there are people without power, et cetera. It's very difficult to be able to give Ukraine a chance to achieve peace and have some positioning, some posture to be able to negotiate with Putin. They have to be able to have energy to supply it. Who supplied it? The United States did, to help them, to help save the country so that we could effectuate peace for the region, because as you know, Minister, it affects globally all of the different countries, an insane loss of life, Was meeting with some people last night, and, we think the numbers could be 1.5 million even. It's
Wow.
just, it's very, they're not, the reports are not accurate. It's much more loss of life than we're hearing in the media. But you have to think about that. That's, mothers, fathers, children,
Of
brothers,
course.
sisters being killed that you never see again, children horrifically injured or without a mother or a father. And so that's why the world has to care and not, get worn out by it or fatigued or forget. But energy is such a huge part of this. And that's why we're trying to keep everybody on the straight and narrow, not playing games, right? Where they understand we have the ability to supply it. Listen to us. We're going to help you. And if you have a choice between the United States having your back or Russia, let's use your common sense, right?
Bogdan.
And I fully agree with the ambassador, because during these times you should take very clear the way that we're making that contracts, and once we already sign and block the entire transport infrastructure, for example, Romania, you have 31.5 BCM per year. Once you reserve for US LNG, no one will be available to come with Russian gas on that infrastructure, and that's about the deepest point of discussion in my perspective. And what is a misunderstanding, in my opinion, is the European leaders' lack of clear decision, including Romania. Because if we are trying to wait for the perfect moment with all the stars aligned, that moment never should come. So in this moment, I think what's the very important, and I think the European leaders should hear that very clear message from Trump administration and from our friends from US. Get the things down now, because in 2028, as Alex mentioned before, will be too late. And in my perspective, in this moment, Romania is the largest EU producer of gas, but it's not enough, because what we produce, we are using for our necessities, and we don't have even enough for that. But we need to supply Ukraine, we need to supply Moldova, Hungary, and Austria. We have a lot of pressure on that, and we have a win-win. It's a very clear economic, strategic win-win for our region and US to get the things done in that manner.
Alex, since we know you as a blunt person in this panel,
Absolutely.
please.
I mean, I couldn't wait. I thought the discussion we're having is solved. I thought European Union took an official decision. It legislated to impose a ban. It will be illegal to buy or not. Because if, yes, it will be illegal to buy, there's nothing to discuss. We are having a discussion with absolutely no substance.
Yeah.
Why do we have the discussion, ministers? Because in Europe, very often, we legislate and say one thing and we mean something different. And the market knows it. Well, who they don't know? The other side of the Atlantic. When they say something, they do it. Now, we have to realize, in my opinion, the different era that we're living and adapt to it. And if Europe wants really to become again what it used to be, then it has to start being serious. And when it says that it will do something, it should do something. To have the discussion on the level of either Greece, and I have to admit that with the Greek government, I see real decisive steps towards the vertical corridor and understanding what other is coming. Other states, and unfortunately I have to refer also to you, although I know what you are trying to do in relation to that. Yes, I do. But it's not only Romania, there are a lot of states that they are having this, in my opinion, strange discussion. Should we buy LNG? Should we buy US LNG as opposed to what? Russian, that's illegal. So what I'm saying is the issue is solved. In practice, what is not solved is the belief of the member states of Europe that when European Union takes a decision, it means it. And that's a problem of Europe.
Which leads me to the next question. Do you think that investments like that in a corridor, building a sort of an entity which is Southeast Europe, do you think it will help to make Europe, which is quite weak right now, stronger against America? I mean, how do you see it?
Please, I will not speak again. I will not.
No,
But
no,
what
we are
I
happy.
believe,
We are drinking what you say.
what I believe European Union should do is subsidize US LNG. Why? Because, yes, obviously the war will be over at some stage. After 5-10 years, I believe that sanctions against Russia, if the war is over, will be relaxed. Does Europe want again to have dependency on Russian gas? It will happen if the price is the only factor. It will happen at that stage, 10 years down the line maybe. Does Europe want to do that? So in my opinion, what Europe should do, instead of looking at it from afar and leaving US and some countries in the European Union to tackle with it, it should subsidize it in order to allow proper infrastructure that will allow the price of US LNG to be comparable eventually to whatever will be the price of Russian LNG 10 years down the line. Because we need a second FSRU, somebody needs to pay that. We need to upgrade the existing pipeline and maybe create another one, which all this will happen if Europe seriously takes a stand and back up the decision already taken to impose sanctions against Russia. Yeah. And I think...
Harris.
Okay. I mean, it's not entirely different. I'm not sure that we need to subsidize LNG, but certainly what we need to do is prioritize the infrastructure investment that's required. It's very, very important to be ready for the next phase, then the next needs that will be, to anticipate them in the next years. Energy is very, very important for many reasons. We have a war next to us, so infrastructure is getting destroyed, so we need to replace it and we need to provide alternative solutions for the energy needs of the war-torn countries, especially Ukraine. We have the digital transition happening. AI is directly consuming energy, even off-grid energy, so we have entire factories dedicated to AI data centers. And of course, we have the normal growth needs of our population, the economic needs, and as we grow and as things hopefully are progressing in the right direction, the energy needs will increase. So we have all those factors requiring a lot of investment in infrastructure. At the same time, we need to invest in defense. We need to invest in other areas as well. So there are many, many needs. So really, this is a time for governmental prioritization and clear signals in terms of the infrastructure, be it ports, LNG terminals, FSRUs, and so on and so forth, pipelines. Other types of connectivity. I think connectivity for the Balkans, connectivity is the name of the game. Railroad connectivity, road connectivity, data, hydrogen pipes. I mean, the list is endless, and we need to work very, very, with a clear focus on a strong direction in order to ensure that we prepare the region for the role it needs to play. Final word. If the region is to realize its geostrategic potential, we have to link the vertical corridors, I mean the so-called 3 seas in it, from the Baltics and Ukraine all the way down to Greece, to IMEC, to the corridor coming from Asia. So that is the real value of the region. And in order to do that, we have to work very strongly on the infrastructure.
Can I add to this, Dad?
Yeah, sure.
So what you're saying is very important. I'm going to give a compliment to Greece. It has been fantastic just seeing what we've been able to do with our bilateral relationship in Greece. Greece is taking it seriously. The other countries in the EU that are not getting their act together are going to get left behind. They're going to have energy supply issues. They're going to have national security issues, and they are not going to be doing the best job for their country. Greece and the ministers that I've been, so privileged to work with have been very hardworking, really responsive, and you're right, on energy, on shipping, on defense, all of the above. They want to and understand the benefit of working with the United States and getting things done. And we are investing United States taxpayer dollars in countries that have infrastructure needs, ports, etc., to help partner to push back against Russian and Chinese interests in the region. And that's the facts. People need to wake up, figure out what's going on, because there are countries, and it's sad, because they're not understanding the complexity of the situation. They are not putting the interests of their people first. They're trying to play games. They're trying to make comparisons that are completely incongruent between things that are going to be illegal and that are not. And so with Greece now, this is why we're doing this. And President Trump has tasked me with doing this and making Greece an energy hub for that region, going up through the vertical corridor. And that's why we work on a daily basis with the countries in the Eastern Med, in the Balkans, et cetera, because they are understanding that this needs to happen. It's going to make the whole area more stabilized. The Russians do not like it at all. I know the Chinese don't like what we're doing. I hear about it every day.
You said that, yeah.
Yeah, they're very upset with me. I don't care. But other than
It's a badge of honor. It's
yes,
okay.
it is a badge of honor, so it's fine. It's fine by me. That means I'm doing my job, right?
My next question, I want to start with Bogdan. And basically, Alex, you said here in Davos, Lodge Davos, previously that the European countries are sort of being bullied, and they should really become stronger. So, Bogdan, how do you see Europe coming out of this quite embarrassing position? What do you think?
I think in Europe we still have leaders which are dreaming about cheap gas from Russia. That's clear. So, but I'm getting back in the last 15 years. We have the largest, I don't say the name, but we have the largest European economy, which are getting priced with 30-40% less of gas and oil from Russia, comparing with Romania, for example. We never have been on the same page with Russia.
Okay, is
and
it starting with G?
Okay. It's obvious. And that make their industry most productive than Romanian industry, for example, because we was at the crossroads and was on the most eastern side of European Union. So that make us to become as much possible independent from Russian resources. And that give us today a huge advantage. 10 years ago, we start to invest in pipelines, start to invest in infrastructure, more over than 1 billion, which today we have the largest infrastructure, and that's why we could play with US. And in this moment, what we say, no one knows when the war will end, in what condition, and what will be the final condition. Definitely wouldn't be set by Romania or Greece, to be very clear. It will be set by US and another counterpart. So in that perspective, my main hope is that US will keep the world and will keep Romania, Greece, Bulgaria in US influential side in a strong partnership. US, in my perspective, doesn't want weak partners.
So what you're saying, because I know where Alex is going to jump in, but what you're saying in a very diplomatic way, because you are a diplomat, is that you cannot look at Europe as a whole. You cannot depend that all leaders in Europe would be realistic. You're just taking care of your own immediate surroundings.
How we could make that in the case when officially have a common market on energy, for example, and in Romania, in Greece, in Bulgaria, we're paying 2 times more price of energy than in the Western countries because we don't have a small interconnector of 20 kilometers between Austria and Hungary. And that's insane. And definitely, I will be very happy with the common market when I have the best prices of oil and gas from entire union. We are not the same. And in this case, I want to play with my country as much as possible with my neighbors because we have a great minister in Greece to play our card together with our friends from US. Because I respect a lot our neighbors, our friends from Portugal, but they are not almost neighbors of Russia as we are today. So that's why we need to be in this side and to be on the right table. That's why I try to convince my colleagues backside in my country that that's the very important, not for today, but for next 10, 25 years.
Alex, I think everybody in the crowd is just waiting. What is Alex going to say?
The discussion we're having today is a demonstration explaining why European Union is weak. We are complaining because we have a bully in Russia because he's bullying us, or Trump becomes very, very aggressive towards European Union. What do we expect after this? You hear where we are. I mean, no disrespect to what you said. I agree with you 100%. Each and every one of the 27 countries forming this strange creature that's called European Union, what does he say? Well, I want to protect myself against whom? Against everybody else. Who are these everybody else? The member states of the Union. Have you ever heard that before? It is exactly the reason for which European Union is unable to negotiate with anybody. Is unable to stand in front of the Russians, unable to stand in front of the Americans, unable to compete Chinese. Unless this change, Minister, we are dead as European Union.
Yeah.
And we need to go back and decide whether we have a union or not, in which case, if we don't, let's go to the very, very nice principle of Greek first,
Yeah.
Germany first, but not Europe first. The Americans are saying, America first. I respect and I understand that they are protecting their interest. What interests are we called to protect? Europe's or Greeks or Romanians? What?
First,
This is a very major question that politicians, you're obliged to solve for us. We cannot do business if we
Harris?
don't know the basic rules of them.
Okay, Harris.
Well, I mean, as always, I would like to put some nuance. Europe has its fair share of problems. I think this is understandable, and I think the current environment calls for a call to action now. But Europe is responding. We have made the decision to make Russian gas illegal, so that decision was taken. So we shouldn't downplay that. And if you ask me, we will stick to it 100%. It will not change. So I have no doubt in my mind. We are supporting Ukraine. We're increasing our defense spending. We are doing the right steps. Of course, we live in a time where we have a huge imbalance between our economic power. Europe is a big economic power, and our political ambition and our military capabilities. Now, we're fixing the last one, we're increasing our military capabilities, but our political ambition has to increase as well. This means more coordination, this means more work, and we need to be working on that. But Europe is moving in the right direction and is taking the steps. Now, this vertical corridor was done with the leadership of countries of the European Union, with the cooperation of other countries in the European Union. So I think what we're saying is that we're moving in the right direction. Now, of course, we have to be faster, we have to be more efficient, and so on and so forth.
Before I going to ask the last question to conclude our fascinating discussion, I am sure that some of you here have some question to this wonderful panel. So
thank you very much for the opportunity. I am Maxim Timchenko, CEO of the largest energy company in Ukraine, in the middle of this energy crisis and storm in our country, coming just 3 days ago from Ukraine. And if you want to imagine what is energy terror in 21st century, you should come to Kiev, Odessa, Dnipro, where people living without electricity for 20 hours a day, without heat for several days with temperature -50. And my first words is words of gratitude, Ambassador, to you personally and to your president. I was so touched yesterday in his speech when he was so genuine talking about souls of soldiers and about our people. And my strong message and position is that the only person in the world who can stop Russian and force him to start speaking seriously about peace is the President Trump. And we are very much grateful to President Trump. And to you personally, because all the discussions now about vertical corridor, about LNG, and in my congratulations to huge success of PTAC conference in Greece, because you brought it to global agenda. I remember when there were people saying that Nord Stream 2, purely commercial project, it's not related to politics, and now I think everybody realizes that there is no cheap Russian gas, because Ukraine is paying for cheap Russian gas is now. And after 4 years of this war, how we can afford to have 18 BCM of gas, Russian gas, still coming to the region? And the only solution to this is to replace Russian gas by American LNG. We as a company was the first company brought LNG from Louisiana to Greece using vertical corridor and bring into Ukraine. And I remember when I've been asked what will happen when Russian transit stop from 1st of January 2025. And our response was bringing LNG from United States. And then we brought LNG through Klaipėda, Lithuania, building this idea of connecting different routes through the largest energy gas storage in Europe, in Ukraine. And this is the real steps to make energy security, because my strong belief that national security, energy security of Europe cannot be without United States and without Ukraine. So thank you very much for that. And we are part of this. Congratulations, Alexandros, for your memorandum and your agreement to bring this such a volume of supply of LNG to Europe. And we're here. We keep fighting. We go through this winter. We hope that President Trump finally stops Putin, and we all build national security Europe. Thank you.
Anybody else? Guys? Okay, so I have a last question to a very fascinating panel. Each one of you, and start from Bogdan, what do you think we achieved in this discussion? I mean, discussions are not just for the sake of discussion. Discussions are to weigh things and then to conclude. What is your conclusion?
Europe leaders should take clear decision ASAP.
Wow. Okay, now.
I thought they had.
Now, so you have to do it even stronger. I mean.
What I need to say is, one thing is the LNG, and what we just heard from Ukraine. It's a clear demonstration of how you can really be blackmailed and bullied based on energy, okay? So we need balance. We cannot depend on one source of energy. So we suffered as Europe because of Russian gas and dependency on Russian gas. We need to become, of course, not dependent on Russian. European Union, I thought, have already decided, and 27 leaders have already decided to make it illegal. So all the other questions are redundant, if we really mean and seriously mean what we intend to do. And the balance can only come from US LNG for a long period of time. So the political aspects outweigh the commercial aspects. It is absolutely necessary for European Union to start thinking exactly as the predominant thought is in America. America first, Europe first. We need to cooperate with US in order to go back and do what, you may laugh, is make Europe great again. Because Europe currently is not great. Europe is weak. We need to make it great again. We need to walk to do it. And walking to it is to be serious, and when we take decisions, to stick with them. And not discuss them every day. And I'm not looking at you personally again, Minister, okay? I am speaking to whichever represents these 27 member states that take a decision that appears to be a decision of the European Union. If we want to make European Union great again, or Europe great again, we need to start behaving like that.
Yes. Arno. Yeah, sure.
Thank you. That was fascinating. I'm Swiss. I am a Swiss elected official from the city of Lausanne. What I don't hear from you is, of course, a lot of countries are dependent on Russia, and we're dependent on the US. Switzerland, as a politician, we're trying to be self-reliable ourselves. Switzerland plays a big role, and thank you all for coming, on also those kind of issues. My question is, how can your countries, European countries, can be self-reliant? If all of a sudden things don't go as you mentioned, can we always go to the EU for asking for peace and to the US? Or can all those countries be self-reliant in some way? On energy, of course.
Good question. Bogdan, start.
Again.
Then you, Harry.
I think it's two sides. First of all, I'm Romanian, and after that I'm European. You're Greece, first of all, and after that, all of us, we are European. I think we are in a transition side when hard decision wasn't taken because we would try to be politically correct, too politically correct. And at your level, decision was taken to make everyone happy. You couldn't make everyone happy. when you take a decision, definitely someone will be happy, someone will be unhappy. But we have red lines for everything, in my perspective. And I give you an example what I try to make in my country. In this moment, I'm dependent around 25% of imports of energy, electrical energy. In this phase, I start huge, I take the money from renewables, I try to put it in nuclear, in gas to power, and my target is in 2 years to make my country an export energy country. So that's the goal. And I think that is are making even my country strong, EU strong, and in the same time the entire region strong and not dependent by Russian energy supply. I think everyone should work on our interest, and strong nations make strong EU and strong ally for us. That's clear. And speeches doesn't change our countries and our region. Facts.
Just one word. I mean, one word. This is not about self-sufficiency. You cannot be self-sufficient in everything. I mean, there's rare earths, there's energy, there's this and that. There are many, many things. I think this is more about resilience, about strategic autonomy, about the ability to be diverse in terms of what you need to get from various parts of the world, so that when something goes south, when some circumstances change, agreements break, or givens in terms of who's with whom change. As we live in this very, very turbulent time, you need to be able to replace what you need with other sources. So I think that is the goal of Europe, and I think that is a realistic goal as opposed to self-sufficiency. I think 2 words about your final question. One is that we live in a time where geopolitics trumps commercial and business, so we have to understand that the imperatives of geopolitics are very, very strong. And the number 2 is we need to build more trust between the business side of things and the political side of things. I think trust building is what we need to do now.
Okay, I just want to say, the president's positioning of the United States is we want all of your countries to be stabilized, for you to fight for your interest, to put your country's interests first. We are not interested in subsidizing the rest of the world. We are trying to help you build up so that you can take care of yourselves. It's just basic philosophy. So it's not just America first. That philosophy and ideology should be universal. That's what every individual that has the pleasure and privilege of being a minister or running a country should be searching and reaching for every single day. And as it relates to Ukraine, it's a very serious issue. I think we had a lot of awareness about this and why the president is taking the positions that he's doing. Because anybody that is buying Russian gas is subsidizing genocide in Ukraine and energy terror. Wake up. There is a moral issue here that these countries need to pay attention to. I don't want to hear about Russian gas is cheaper. Stop. You are not doing long-term logistical planning for national security for your countries, and you will allow another war to happen like we're seeing right now, which is an atrocity.
I want to thank everybody in this panel and everybody who came to listen to us. Thank you.
I got you.